Hi, today I want to share with you some of the challenges that come up on this journey of self-love and working on self-worth and all those things, that inevitably things are going to come up. And there's someone going through the program right now who had amazing questions, brought up really good points. So I want to make sure I cover them, and I have some notes here. So I'm going to be reading a little bit, but it's just that I don't want to forget some of the things that we've talked about. So one of the things that happens as we're using these tools, as we're going deeper, as we're peeling the layers and trying to go deep into ourselves, right? One thing that we benefit from remembering is to be gentle with ourselves. It takes time. It can take time. So being gentle while we're diving deeper into these waters, while we're navigating this whole thing, being gentle with ourselves. If what I recommend to you is a little too much, or the pace at which I recommend you do it is too much, make sure you do it at your own pace. Right? Anything that anyone recommends, I don't care if it's the biggest guru in the world, do it at your own pace. We're all at different parts of the journey. We're all going through different things. We're all experiencing things differently. So make sure you go at your own pace. If something feels like too much, just find the pace that feels good to you at the time. Because maybe in a week, you can go a lot further and deeper. But right now, just honor where you are. That's one thing that I love remembering for myself. Just honor where you are. So that's what I'm going to recommend for that one. And then also the thing that comes up is that there's parts of ourselves that don't want to go deeper. Believe me. There's parts of ourselves that don't want to experience that deep sense of self-love. Like it's too unfamiliar, too much for some parts of ourselves. So that's why being gentle helps so much. And also honoring the fact that, okay, there's parts of me that don't want to go deeper. There's parts of me that don't want to keep going on this journey. So be gentle with that part of you. Be caring and loving to that part of you. And find a pace that it's like, okay, let's compromise a little. A pace that feels good to you, and a pace that allows that part of you to still move forward in a gentle way that allows your whole being to navigate this journey in a nice way, in a beneficial way. Because that's a huge part of self-sabotage, that we keep going back to the same cycle sometimes. So I think these ideas might help you to find that medium, that place that feels good to you to keep moving forward. The other thing that he brought up, which was amazing, is that with some of the tools we might feel embarrassed if other people found out that we were doing it, right? And one of the things is that I have a bunch of notes in my house, right? And there was a time that there was another guy in the house that he's like a very manly guy, like older guy, very manly guy. So I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna see my notes, so he's gonna think like, what a little baby, like just having little notes around the house, like saying I'm enough, I love you. Like, what the hell is this? Like, be a man, right? Man up, grow up. You're not a kid. Why do you have these little silly notes around the house? The really funny thing is that when he saw the notes, I wasn't there when he saw them, he said like, wow, those are really cool. Like I wanna make some for me, like at my house now. It's like, I love your notes. It's like every time I go by, I read a new one and I just remember that new one, right? Because he comes into the house different times throughout the week too. So it was funny. There was a part of me that was embarrassed, but it was funny how sometimes we create a story in our mind of what might happen because of fears and things in ourselves. but I wonder, are they true? Is that actually true, or is it just me creating and coming up with things, right? Because I was embarrassed, but he loved them. So sometimes we kind of like create possible outcomes and ideas and stories in our minds that maybe they're not true. And the thing is just honoring that part of you that feels embarrassed, like feels like you don't want to share with anyone these things that you're doing and going through this journey of self-love, and it feels weird and you just want to keep it for yourself. Then honor that. Just keep it for yourself. You don't need to tell anyone what you're doing. You don't need to tell anyone you're going through a program on self-love. You don't need to tell anyone you're using little notes and things for improving that relationship with yourself and healing things and loving yourself more. You don't need to tell anyone. This is for you, right? In the past, I've made the mistake of sharing too much about what I was doing and going through and things like that, and with people around me. And you're not always going to get support. You're not always going to get support, unfortunately, depending on where the other people are on their journey. So I've learned that sometimes it's better to keep them for yourself. And if someone is like, wow, I noticed that there's something different about you. You seem happier, you're always smiling. What's going on? What are you doing? Then you can share, because they're interested, they're open to learning, right? So make sure you find a way that works for you, right? You don't need to share with anyone. The other great thing is that he was sharing that he was bringing up a lot of things, right? The tools that I was given, the things that we're doing in the program, they were bringing up a little things that, emotions that maybe he wasn't aware of, things that maybe he wasn't paying attention to. And this has happened to me a lot too, right? This brings things to the surface for us to look at in a good way, in a really good way. Because it's, in a way, some people rather just not even know they're there and just go their whole life ignoring things, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not judging anyone. But what I have learned and noticed and experienced is that when we think that just because we're not aware of that consciously, that it doesn't affect us, that's not true in my opinion and experience. It does affect us. It does. Because at some level we are aware of it. We are. And this process might bring things up for us to take a look at it, because we've never shown ourselves so much love. We've never given ourselves so much attention. So those parts of ourselves, right, that insecure part of me, that fearful part of me, the doubtful part of me, now, because I'm giving myself that time and attention, now those parts of me feel safe to come up to the surface. They're like, okay, he's ready to take a look at this. He's ready to explore this deeper and heal these parts of ourselves and just integrate it all. And just give us that opportunity to come to the surface, to be seen and heard. So it's a beautiful way for those parts to come up. I've been in the self-development industry for years now, years. And in my opinion and experience, this is a much more gentle, beautiful, loving way of doing that than some of the more aggressive techniques that the self-development industry uses. Not trying to judge, not trying to, but it's just my experience. And a lot of people that I work with and I have helped and talked to. Those more aggressive techniques, and I call them aggressive for lack of a better word, but they're not very gentle sometimes, and sometimes on this journey we need to be a little more gentle with ourselves. So in this way, you're bringing those things up for you to look at, for you to heal in a way, to integrate back into yourself as a part of your whole being, because we're a holistic being. the other thing that I wanted to share related to that is that we can't control what comes up. And I think that sometimes we try to do that a lot, right? We can't control what comes up as we're doing this. And in a way, I told him, like, I wish I had the tool to give you for you to be able to control what comes up. But then I realized I don't even know if I want to do that for you. Because if we're controlling what comes up, then is that what's best for us? The things that come up because maybe we need to look at them right now. Maybe we're ready to look at them right now. And I do believe that, like they say, life doesn't give you anything that you can't handle. So we're stronger than we realize. We're more ready than we realize. So if these things come up right now for you and I, then maybe it is time to look at them. Maybe it is time, maybe we are ready. You might need a little bit of support from someone, that's fine, but you are ready. You are ready. So we can't control what comes up, but we can welcome it. We can accept it. We can appreciate it. We can love it. I know it sounds tough, but with all the tools that I've given you and I'm gonna keep giving you, it is possible. It is possible. I've done it, I keep doing it with the things that come up, and it is a very beautiful journey and a very healing way of doing it. And one thing that I've learned and experienced and noticed is that the mind, I'm not saying this in a bad way, right? Some people give the mind so much bad rep for the mind is another part of us, right? It's a beautiful thing. But the mind can sometimes tend to think that healing is a destination. And even that self-love is a destination, right? Oh, when I heal this, I'm gonna be better. When I love myself, I'll finally be able to do this. Is that really true? Why can't we start doing those things or being that way now instead of waiting until we heal 100% of something to be able to do that, right? I know it's not easy, but I'm just throwing that idea out there for you. Why do we have to wait until we love ourselves up to the level that we think is enough and we think it's what we need and we think it's right? Why do we need to wait until we love ourselves at that level to be able to live the way we want to live? So that's just an idea that I wanted to throw out there, right? And also I'm gonna leave you with this one for you to consider. So I don't need this anymore. Wait, let me just make sure. I'm gonna throw this in the ground now. Mic drop. I just want to leave you with this idea for you to consider. You can just take a few minutes to close your eyes, breathe, and just let it sink in. That I use the word healing a lot because I feel healing is a huge part of the journey. Huge part of it. So I'm not saying that it's not necessary. I'm not saying that it's not beneficial. But I believe sometimes the mind thinks that healing is getting rid of stuff, letting go, all those things that are like pushing away, right? Let me get rid of this. Let me let go of this. There's a space for that. I'm not saying that's not good or beneficial or necessary. What I just want to offer to you right now for you to consider is that maybe these things that are coming up in you, these emotions, these feelings, this everything that's coming up for you throughout this journey, maybe it's not coming up so that it can be healed. Maybe it just wants to be held. Maybe it doesn't want to be healed by you. Maybe it just wants to be held by you.